Hello everybody, this is going to be a video about using APIs with Google Cloud Platform and using Python to work with those APIs. So if that's of interest, then keep watching. Okay, so far I've registered for a Google Cloud Platform account, which is free. You do have to provide your credit card details, but Google promise they won't charge you without notifying you. So if you accidentally use too many services, then you would get an email and then they would inform you. So yeah, you do need I recommend using a Visa card rather than your bank card. You get slightly more protection and you get some comeback if there is any kind of dispute, as Visa would take up that dispute for you. Anyway, first thing is, let's try and look at some Python code and just try and understand what it is that we're trying to do. So with Google Cloud Platform, it's effectively a network, some computers, some storage, and some code all within a black box. So once you've kind of had a little guided tour look around it, take a quick start, what you need to do is then think about how you can automate it. And for instance, if you're working in a business, particularly if it's a business which has what's called change control, or if you want to pass on some notes to somebody else, rather than saying click this button, then click on this screen, then click that screen, you'd end up with a Word document with about 2,000 screenshots in, I would imagine. What you really need to do is understand how to get the commands. So when I say get the commands, when you configure something within Google Cloud, typically there'll be an option at the bottom which will be REST. You can get the REST code. So here, for instance, gcloud compute networks. So all of the syntax is provided for you if you click the button, and then you can get the little clipboard icon and copy it to the clipboard. So what does that actually mean? Well, within Google Console, you've got, if you see it here, activate Cloud Shell. So this is where we're going to be doing most of the work today. So as I say, Google Cloud Platform is basically computers, storage. Effectively, it's computers and storage and some services. That's me dumbing it down quite a lot, by the way. So right, activate Cloud Shell. So this is the GUI and this is the command line. So what I'm trying to do here is simplify it. I'm simplifying it partly because I'm not very good at talking about complicated concepts, and I think it's probably best to start small and try and always link what you're learning back to something that you already know about. So this effectively is a VM running on Google servers, and yeah, let's so this command line, what do they call it? Google Cloud Shell. Yeah, so it's a Linux box, so you can run ls-la, you can run vim, so we could edit our bash rc. There we go. And yeah, all the usual commands. In actual fact, oh yeah, and also you can run Python. I don't know if that's very, let me just zoom in on that. Is that better? Yeah, there we go. So yeah, if we run Python, there we go. It's running. Yeah, it's running 2 by default. Let's go for some Python 3. Yeah, 3.73. And there we go. You can run pip install. So it is just like a normal, let's go for requests. Pip 3. So yeah, if you've customized your Linux box and you're used to using an alias, you'd have to come back in and set all that up. What's that installed it for? 3.7, yeah. So then if we go, did it again. Python 3, import requests. There we go. So yeah, what we need to look at now, or what we need, the purpose of this video is to look at how we can do command line things, how we can use Python, and how we can work with command line within Google Shell to do things which you would otherwise have to do by clicking lots of buttons. So I'm just going to close that temporarily, and I'm just going to do a quick overview of all of these options, or not all of them, but just the relevant ones. So within Google, if you click on, what do they call it? Is the hamburger, they call it in the US, don't they? If you're in the US, is this called the hamburger? Let me know. The hamburger menu. So as you can see, I've created a project, called it Mickey. It's got project number, auto-generated, project IDs auto-generated, add people to the project. I'm already added to it as an owner, I think. Resources, so you've got BigQuery, SQL, Compute Engine, Storage, Cloud Functions, App Engine. So really, one of the first things you want to consider is actually creating the virtual network. So if you're creating servers within this cloud platform and you need them to communicate with each other, then you need to create the network. So we've got compute, which is where you can create your virtual machine instances. Let's just have a look at that. I'm not going to spend too long on this because the main emphasis of this video really is to look at how to use Python with the REST API to do stuff. Create instance. Some of this is not it's not instant, but then there's lots going on. If you're familiar with VM Workstation, then you know that starting up a machine takes a few seconds. Yeah, pricing. So this is the estimate. So as and when you start up your machines, you do need to consider what the pricing would or is, what it would be or what it is, and then make sure I think you're supposed to close down the machines when you finish doing your sort of tutorials or experimenting. So we've got instance 1, let's call it Mickey VM1. Region, I'm in Europe. I must start, it's lowercase, isn't it? Okay, region, so let's have a look. I'm in Europe, so obviously it's better to choose the correct one because it's going to be faster for you. Zone. A zone is an isolated location within a region. The zone determines what computing resources are available and where your data is stored and used. I think I'm in Europe West B. Series, the tutorial I was doing, powered by availability, Intel, AMD, Skylake. Let's leave it on that. 4 gig of memory, that's fine. Enable display device. No, that's if you want to use screen capturing recording tools. No. Right, Compute Engine, default service account. Allow default access. I think I'm going to be naughty and I'm going to allow full access to all cloud APIs. And firewall. Allow specific network traffic from the internet. No. Networking, disk security management. Let's create that. So we're just creating a VM, and then we'll go over and look at the network side of things, and then we'll get into the Python bit that we were looking at to start with. So selected instance. We've got the little timer here. Status. The instance is running. That was quite quick. So if I click on that, so for any of you who've only been familiar with Heroku, for instance, as you saw in the other video, you don't have to use Heroku to run a Python project. And you've got a network interface, a storage. We're running Debian Buster. We've got a balanced persistent disk, 10 gigabytes, primary internal IP, external IP. So let's just copy that. We might need that in a second. And SSH keys, we haven't generated any of those yet. If you generate an SSH key, you can actually SSH into this VM from your client PC using, for instance, if you're on Windows, you'd use PuTTY. Linux, you'd use Terminal. Right, so anyway, that's the compute engine. Let's go down and look at networks next. So virtual machines, storage, instance groups, VM manager, bare metal, settings. We need to go back to the hamburger menu, and this, what you're seeing me do now, is, I think, is a very good reason to want to, there we go, VPC Network, Virtual Platform Cloud Network, and we want to go up to VPC Networks. So already you're probably thinking, wow, that's a lot of, the first thing I thought was that's a lot of clicks. And as I say, if you work in any kind of business environment, if you need to do a change plan, then you will need to kind of explain what you're doing, and you don't want to be creating a work plan with 100 screenshots. You'd probably get laughed at, especially if there was like a Cisco engineer who'd just put in loads of command line config, and it was a one-page work plan because it was just command line arguments. Right, VPC network, let's call it MNet, MickeyNet. And subnets let you create your own private cloud topology within Google Cloud. Click automatic to create a subnet in each region. I don't think we want each region. Let's go for MNet 1. Region, it was Europe West 2. And that was what I copied and pasted, so the lowest IP address in the subnet. Okay, let's just use, I think it wants a class C address. Let's just do 10 dot, all the 10s and 12, that's okay. So I've just put in a standard, actually /8 would be a standard class C, class A, sorry. Private Google access off, flow logs, dynamic routing, regional. Cloud routers will learn routes only in the region which they were created. Yeah. Okay, so this is, let's get into the good bit now. So equivalent command line. Now if I click on that, gcloud command line. This is the gcloud command line with the parameters you have selected. So rather than copy to click, running Cloud Shell, there we go. So I'm going to run these commands, but from the command line and running Cloud Shell. And hopefully, is it going to open up the shell? There we go. So if you look at those commands, it's actually gcloud compute networks create mnet. So gcloud, most of the commands will start with gcloud, authorize, gcloud compute networks. There we go, mnet, subnet, custom, regional. Instances on this network will not be reachable until firewall rules are created. As an example, you can allow all internal traffic between instances as well as SSH RDP. Oh, and it's even given us example commands there, look. So that's, what's it creating there? gcloud compute, firewall rules create, firewall name, so we'll call that, oh, is that ingress? Okay, because it's not, this one's not specifying a source. So that's effectively anywhere. So let's do that one. So it's saying allow. No, I need to give it a name. It's effectively saying allow TCP port 22 connections from anywhere. Okay, didn't like. What's that regular expression? It does. Oh, it didn't like the underscore. I think it allows the dash, does it? If you use the Python, you probably use underscore a lot, and yeah, that threw me there a bit. I have to get, once you're not using, once you take your Python head off, you have to start using dashes again. Disabled, so it's allow, priority. Yeah, priority is something, so if there's another rule which kind of clashes with it, but it's got a different priority. I think priority, I don't know if priority 1000 is high or low compared to 1. Okay, so let's go back now and look at what was it I had on the screen to start with? There we go. How to, I've just chosen a random kind of method, routes.get. So this was a random API script. So if not already done, enable the compute engine API and check the quota for your project. I think we've done that, yeah. If not already done, install the Google Cloud CLI from, I think we've done 2. Let's try this pip. I'm gonna put pip3 there. Sometimes I just think, oh, it's just safer. I don't want to. Would it run pip3 or pip? Would it run for Python 2? Who knows? And now I'm going to do vim demo1.py and let's copy that. Paste it in. Yeah. Oh. Then we from. Just save that to start with, and right now I'm going to move that out of the way. We'll make this. Sorry, make that full screen. Drag that up a bit. Let's just do. I just want to check that pasted in okay. There we go. So next we need to edit some of this in here. So we need to. Why is it? Oh, it's gone white because it's over the cursor. Okay. Discovery build compute v1 credentials equals credentials. Okay, my project update placeholder value. Sorry, I'm a bit rusty at Vim. Insert. Name of the root resource to run. Okay, I'm just going to look that up. Okay, so this is going to be the fiddly bit. I don't quite, this is new to me, so I don't quite know what to put in for the roots and also the project ID. So I'm just looking at some stuff that I copied and pasted earlier using that clipboard feature. So from roots, what did I? There we go. So roots, the name. So this was another network, one that I made earlier, which, so the name is, for that was default root. I think that here, see that there? Name. That's what I need to be putting into my line here. So let's exit this for temporarily, and let's drag that back down. We don't need that anymore, so let's go back to VPC roots, and I'm going to get, okay, no roots yet, so let's just I'm going to see if there's anything. I thought it created some default roots. No, okay, create root. It should just create a default root of, yeah, next hop to default internet gateway. So let's call it Mickey root. Route to default gateway. QNet. So we want to create a route from there. Destination IP range. Okay. Let's do 10.0.1.0/24. Create. And again, I could have oh, I've done a route. I've overlapped. Let's Mickey route. Let's do something entirely different then. So the default network. So create a route from Mickey to, let's say 192.168. imagine if we had another network on this already. So yeah, equivalent command line, there we go. So that's what I wanted to get, which was project equals Mickey. And I think that's the name of the route. I'm just going to copy that to clipboard and we'll paste that into our notes here. There we go. I'm going to come back and refer to that in a second. So run that anyway. So what I've done there is I've created a route from the Mickey network to a imaginary other network, which is 192.168.1, and I'm just telling it the next hop, which is the default internet gateway. Got some messages there. Oh, that was the error message when I was using the overlapping. Okay. Okay, next, so we want to go back to Vim. What was the file called? Vim demo1.py. And we want to go back up to, the cursor's a bit slow on this. I probably need to edit the cursor speed. So projects, if you remember, I just pasted in the details. So the project is that there, project Mickey, project equals Mickey 331. In fact, right, let's just tidy this up a bit and yeah, it's really disconcerting with a really slow cursor. Okay, so that's next route equals Mickey-route. Okay, that's that. So I think we've told it to get our credentials and we're already authenticated because we're logged in as the owner. So with the permissions, there's something called IAM, Identity Access Management, and by default the person who creates it is the owner. So because I'm the owner and I'm running within a VM, I'm running this Cloud Shell as the owner, I believe this will work. So let's try it. And we should get back a response. And there we go. I think it's worked. We were getting, what? I've been talking so much, I've actually forgotten what it was that we were actually trying to get. Routes overview, let's go back and there we go. We were trying to use, we were going to use, we were trying to get a response with some, so we were doing a request to get some information. It was routes.get, was it? No, what were we getting? We were getting routes.get. So that's sorry if it's been a bit long-winded, but basically that is how to use a command line. So what you do is you kind of use view the command line code, and then you can pick out the bits that you need, and it saves you having to click lots of buttons. So what else should we get? I feel like we need to get something else while while we're here. Add a bookmark. So as you can see, what we actually got, if successful, the response body contains data with the following structure. Represents a root resource. A root defines a path from VM instances in the VPC network. So that's the Mickey Net, that's our network inside Google Cloud, to a specific destination, which I used 192.168.1/24. This destination could be inside or outside of the VPC network. I was actually sending it to the default gateway, which would typically mean it would be outside the network. So if you're not familiar with kind of how networks work, then I wouldn't, you don't have to go and study to be Cisco CCNA or CCNP, but probably the thing to understand is subnets. You have and something called CIDR. So typically a home network would be 192.168.1.0 or something like that. So network addresses work in combination with subnet masks, and the subnet mask then dictates how many hosts and how many networks you can get from that address. So it's a 32-bit dotted decimal notation, which is actually under the bonnet. It converts back to binary. Anyway, there we've got a response body, and those are all the attributes. And what we got was, so using the Python script, Python 3 demo1.py, you always get the creation timestamp and the description. I didn't complete that. So the destination range of that route was /192.168.1.0/24, as just mentioned. The kind is compute route. Name is Mickey root. Network is Mickey Net with the project ID. So basically everything in Google Cloud belongs to a project. A project is, I actually think of a project more like, if you've worked for that managed services provider, you'll have what's called accounts, or even if you've ever worked in sales, you have like an account. So if you work for, say, a big company called VPC Networks, and you look after lots of customers, then each customer is an account, but here it would probably be called a project. Priority self-link, and that's the root. I think if I click that, that'll actually take me back into the GUI, will it? Oh, it didn't like that. No, okay. What about this one? Nope. This should take me back up to the top. Nope. Okay, fair enough. Should we, I think, let's just have a little bit more of, let's just edit that demo and request service routes.get project. Okay, so rather than networks, let's get some other information then. If we can get, what should we, instances, list instances. That should just come up with one result, which will be retrieves the list of instances contained within a specified zone. Oh yeah, you can test, even if you've if you watched my YouTube videos, not YouTube, my YouTube API videos a long time ago, almost probably over 2 years ago, you might have seen this in the YouTube API. Basically, you can test the API and you can execute and you can configure it all here. I don't know what that's going to give me. Probably a load of gobbledygook. Oh, it's asking me to authenticate. There we go. And you get your message there. If you get success, then it will appear down there. So you can actually test your APIs. You know, it's a bit like Postman, so you can do it here. Okay, so let's go. Hopefully, if we scroll down through this, we'll get to some more example Python code. Wow, there's a lot here. Let's get right to the bottom, and here we go again. Here we got the Python bit. So it is right at the bottom. So you see how small the little slider is. Instances. So instances is the compute instances, and let's try and get some information about those. So project ID, the name of the zone we're going to need this time. Instance. So we need to, as you can see, the project ID, we've got the zone, we've right. Just check this again. That's the same things, the same 3 steps. So we know those 3 steps work because we've already had our network root demo code working. So I'm going to copy that and I'll call that dem2. And oh, I forgot to do insert. So right, we need to change this again. And this is where the old notepad file comes in handy again. So the projects, these project kind of numbers, and they're just random, well, not semi-randomly generated. So get rid of that. Zone. So I think the zone and the instance we need. So just putting that in my text file. Zone question mark and instance question mark. So let's go back in. I'm just going to quit this now and we'll come back to it. So we want let's go back to the hamburger menu, which I think it's called. I've done a Oracle OCI Cloud Foundations exam and passed with I think it was 96%, believe it or not. Let's just try and find the zone. Compute engine zones. Oh, of course, it was the Europe West 2, I think my zone was called. Let's go back up to compute engine. It's running really slowly. There we go, zone. So Europe West 2B. Just going to put that in here. This copy and paste when it doesn't work is so annoying. Copy, please. Europe-West 2-B. I'll type it if it doesn't work this time. There we go. And the instance name, believe that is the instance name, Mickey VM1. Copy. Obviously, if you're working on this every day and this is your job, you're going to know all this inside out. So, oh, I didn't copy it. I'm just going to type that, Mickey-VM1. Yeah, as I say, if you're working on this every day, you're going to know it inside out. So, and also you can have existing scripts to work from. So you just go in and edit the script, and it's probably already going to have the instance and the zone name. So it's a good introduction, and you're seeing a bit of, I wouldn't say errors, but you're just seeing how to do things, and you're seeing a bit more. It's like if you go on the motorway, you don't see much scenery, but if you go on, you know, if you avoid the motorway, then you see a few more things. Right, let's get back to the console. From kind of like a network engineer, a Python programming background, doing things in the graphical interface is just plain hard work. I'm not afraid of hard work, but what's the saying? Work smarter, not harder. I think working smarter is basically using the APIs in Python and so on. So zone was CAW. Maybe COW? No. There we go, CAW. If you don't know what I'm talking about, it's a Vim command. CAW, change around the word. So Europe West 2 B, and then down here, change code below to process each instance resource. Change code below to process each instance resource. I don't quite follow that. Let's just run it anyway then. So let's go for demo 2, and it should print some instance information. And obviously what we're doing is we're using get. We're not actually modifying anything. That will come up in the future. Oh, unexpected indent. As I say, I think if you do this regularly and you know it's your day job, then you're going to have all this already kind of. You only ever have to do this once, so once you've done this, then it's there for good, and you can just quite simply modify it. There we go, that worked. So I think that's quite good. If you're not following what I'm doing here, let me try and start again from the scratch. So within the graphical interface, or let's go back right to the start. So I went onto Google, I typed in Google Cloud Platform, I signed up with my Google account. With my Google account, I could then go in and create a project. So a project is just basically the whole thing. You can only have, I think, about 10 projects with this trial account or whatever. So a project is, if you imagine you're working in a company and your company is, you know, making widgets, then that company probably will only have one project. If you've got a sister company, you might have project 1, project 2, but really project contains everything. Within the project, you then create some virtual machine instances, which are effectively equivalent to big metal servers in the old days. A network is equivalent to having a broadband router and a switch and loads of copper cabling. A firewall is equivalent to, a firewall could be software or hardware really, but I expect if you work in a normal medium-sized business, you'll be familiar with a metal box with loads of flashing lights, which is your firewall. So all of this in one web GUI is replacing a server room, several servers, a metal firewall, a router, some switches. All of this just contained, well, it obviously exists somewhere in London or East Europe, wherever it is. So anyway, This was the result of a Python script which was querying my project. And within my project, what this did was it went off and got the details of the instance of the virtual machine that I created. And here we go, we've got disks. That was a 10 gig disk. Device name was Mickey VM1. Obviously 10 gig. UEFI compatible, blah blah blah. SCSI, computer attached disk, licenses, mode read write, type persistent. Persistent means that even when you lose connection and reconnect, reboot, you've still got your data. And all of this is JSON. So obviously with Python, we could then go ahead and parse this. So we could pick out any of these keys and values, and then we could use them as variables that we could then go on and proceed to do other stuff with using Python. If we had numerous instances, we could even, load these into a pandas data frame if we wanted to. Do whatever you want with Python. So then we got the name, network interfaces, network tier, one-to-one NAT, network address translation, IPv4, that's the network IP, that's what it gave the compute instance, so that's the IP, or effectively that's like the IP address of the server. And scheduling, blah blah blah. So yeah, I hope this has been interesting, and really what we've done is we've leveraged the Google APIs, or the example Google code and APIs, to extract information from our cloud, our VPC, our virtual... it's been a long day. VPC, what is VPC? Virtual something cloud, what is VPC? I've forgotten. Anyway, virtual platform, VPC. Just need to bring that down now as well. We'll be leaving the command line from now on. This is me wrapping it up. So it's called something else in Oracle. VCI, so virtual cloud infrastructure. I'm waffling now anyway. So yeah, that's hopefully that's been interesting, and I've showed you kind of at least how you can use Python code with Google API with Google Cloud Platform. So yeah, sorry it's been a bit ramshackle. I've been kind of doing it on the fly and just kind of really, there's no point in me learning this for 2 months and then doing a demo for beginners, because obviously I wouldn't really be approaching it from the same point. So yeah, hopefully this is kind of aimed at anybody who's just getting started, who knows a bit of Python and who's kind of had a little bit of play or a little bit of an experiment with Google Cloud Platform. So what we've done is we've used Python to get information. So in future, we will not only be getting information, we will be editing and amending information using Python. So for the meantime, thanks for watching, and I'll see you soon. And thumbs up.